Hi, welcome. Boom, shakalaka, glad to have you here. Today, we're going to talk about comparing decimals. Now, you should have glued into your journal how to compare decimals and how to order decimals. It's pretty much, hey, Mr. W, you want to come in and say hi?
No, I was going to say something, but I'll refrain.
Yeah. Plug your ears. I'm just kidding. All right, comparing and ordering decimals. If we have the problem 4 5/10 and 4 5/100, and our instructions are compare them less than, greater than, or equal to. If you follow the steps you were taught, and I'm teaching now to remind you, take the numbers. We have our two numbers. We line them up vertically by the decimal points. Then we make them go out to the same smallest digit. This one goes out to the hundredths. So I want the other one to go out to the hundredths. I compare it in front of the decimals. In front of the decimals we have 4s. They're the same. First place behind the decimal, we have a 5 and a 0. So the one with the 5 in the tenths place is greater. So it would look like that. Boom! Let's say 6 and 8/10. 6 and 37/100. Well, obviously, since 37 is greater than 8, then this must be bigger, right? No, let's check it. We can't just guess. Don't just guess. You got to think. Don't just guess. Do the work. Line up the decimal points. Goes out to the farthest decimal point. It goes out to the hundredths place. So I take this out to the hundredths place. I have 6's are the same. These are the same. I have an 8 and I have a 3. Therefore, 6 and 8/10 is greater than 6 and 37/100. Easy peasy. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. All right, let's do some more. You should never. Bye, Miss Counts. You should never miss any problem that's comparing decimals. All you have to do is follow the steps. Follow the steps. And see, I try and do these boring how to do on recording, and if you watch it at home, it makes your life easier. And then when you're at school, we can do some different things instead of just practice and practice and practice. Because who wants to give you 40 of these? I mean, that would be a beating. I'm just really saying. All right, we have 7 and 84/100, 7 and 840 thousandths. We follow our steps. Write them lining up the decimal points. We have 7, 8, 4, 7 decimal points lined up. 8, 4, 0. So this goes all the way up to the thousandths place. So I want this one to go all the way up to the thousandths place. I add my 0. I look in front of my decimal point. Here's my decimal point. Then I compare everything in front of it. I have a 7 and a 7. I have an 8 and an 8. I have a 4 and a 4. I have a 0 and a 0. That tells me these two numbers are equivalent. These two numbers are equivalent. Oh, let's look at 54 and 4/10, 5 and 78/100. Write them down, lining up the decimal points. 54 and 4/10, 5 and 78/100. We add in our 0 so they go out to the same smallest place value. In front of the decimal point, I have 54 and I have 5. 54 is greater than 5. So 54 and 4/10 is greater than 5 and 78/100. Let's do some putting them in order from least to greatest and greatest to least. All right, so let's go least to greatest. So they give us a set of numbers. So let's take our set of numbers. 6 and 21 hundredths. 6 and 2 tenths. 6 and 12 hundredths. We're going to put these in order from least to greatest. To do that, I'm going to do the same process. Write them down, lining up the decimal points. Okay, I've lined up the decimal points. The farthest one they have goes out to the hundredths place, so I want this one to go out to the hundredths place. And if they all go out to the hundredths place, I just think of them as money. Money, 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 money. Money. All right, so $6.21, $6.20, $6.12. We're going least to greatest. This would be the smallest one. 6 and 12 hundredths. Followed by 6 and 2 tenths. Followed by 6 and 21 hundredths. You will not ever have an issue if you write them down lining up the decimal points. I promise. I promise. If you can write them down lining up the decimal points and then you know which numbers are bigger than which other numbers, like if you can look in front of the decimal point, oh, all sixes. Oh, twos are greater than ones, so I'm just saying. Let's try one greatest to least. Let's try one of those, greatest to least. Oh, greatest to least, we have, oh, this is a good one here. 7 and 8 tenths. 7 and 88 hundredths. 7 and 88 thousandths. Simple. Write them down, lining up my decimal points. 7 and 8 tenths. 7 and 88 hundredths. 7 and 88 thousandths. If I put my zeros in so that they all go out to the thousandths place. In front of the decimal points, I have sevens all the way across. Behind the decimal point, I have an 8. In my tenths place, I have an 8, and a 0. Well, the 0 is obviously smaller than the 8s, so that's going to automatically make it the smallest number. So 7 and 88 thousandths is the smallest number. Now I can look 800, 880. So my biggest is 7 and 88 hundredths, followed by 7 and 8 tenths. If you write them down lining up the decimal points, it makes it real easy. Now, one other thing I want to show you. Today on the Maths Mansion video, they talked about finding and they wanted you to find a number greater than 1 and 23 hundredths, less than 1 and 24 hundredths, and you could only go out to 4 digits. So we already have 1, 2, 3, so it had to have only go out to 4 digits. Well, if I go out to my thousandths place, I can make 1 and 231 thousandths, 1 and 232 thousandths, and I can go all the way out. Because if I made these zeros here, remember I don't change the value, put the zeros there, that makes it easy to find them that are in between. Because just take it out. There are an infinite number of numbers between 1 and 23 hundredths and 1 and 24 hundredths. Okay, because we could put 1.2310 or 1, 1.2312, 1, and we could just keep adding place values behind there. So that's the bottom line. Boom, shakalaka. Quietly tomorrow, ask me about some extra credit, but you gotta be quiet. Did you notice this product placement? Because in movies, they put something there for you to see, and then you're like, oh, wow, I think Justin Timberlake's really cool, and he's drinking Dr. Pepper. I should drink Dr. Pepper too. I mean, or I should bring Justin Timberlake or my teacher a Dr. Pepper. But, that's really up to you. Boom, shakalaka, peace out, love y'all, God bless.